Okay, so good day, class. This is our second topic for midterms. 3.2, we have your acceleration vectors. So after discussing motion and its measurement through velocity, we now move on to the rate of change of velocity, which is your acceleration. Okay, so let's say we have a car that is traveling along this road. Okay, so let's say this point, this not the starting point, the car is in motion, and let's pick a point on the curve or the road. Let's say this is P1, and in this P1 we have your velocity. Okay, and now let's watch as the car moves along the road. Okay, at this point P2 we also have a velocity. Okay, notice that we have 2 points in the graph or in the diagram. Okay, the graph that I'm telling you is this motion of the car. Okay, notice that there are 2 points. When we have 2 points of the graph, when we are talking about 2 points on the graph, we will be getting the average of those 2 points. Okay, so average. So we're going to get the average acceleration because we are now talking about acceleration and not the average velocity. Okay, so in order to get the average acceleration or the average rate of change of velocity, let us project this velocity one here and we project velocity 2 here. Okay, notice that we have a triangle, meaning that the change in our velocity is right around here. Okay, so the change in velocity is equal to v2 minus v1. Why? Because when we're getting the change, we are going to get it by using the formula final minus the initial, okay, regardless of the sign, okay? And now, since we're getting the average velocity, the the average acceleration is equal to the change in velocity over the change in time, which is presented by this. Okay. And notice that we have same direction for the change in velocity and as with that with the average um acceleration. Okay, that is not always the case. uh in some cases the change in velocity is equal or is with the direction of our average acceleration. Okay, so if you're noticing a pattern here, we have your average acceleration first, and now we're going to get your instantaneous acceleration. Okay, so let's move on to our instantaneous acceleration. Okay, so if we get the instantaneous acceleration at point 1, let us say that v2 moves closer and closer to point 1. That means if V2 moves closer and closer to point 1, the difference or the change in velocity and also the change in time approaches 0. Okay, if we have something that approaches 0 in our equation, we are going to talk about the limit. Okay, so recall this. The instantaneous velocity is equal to the limit of the change in r over the change in delta t is equal to dr over dt. We're going to use this for our instantaneous acceleration. Okay, we're just going to change the position to velocity and we're going to change velocity into acceleration. Okay, so this is our instantaneous acceleration vector. Okay. So as I've said a while ago, uh, if V2 approaches V1, the difference will be moving closer and closer to zero as is with the change in time. Okay. And this is the direction of our instantaneous acceleration moving towards the concave concave of the curve. Okay, so moving towards the concave part of the curve. If the motion or if the curve or the graph is like this, okay, so if it is like this, your acceleration will not be with the direction of our velocity. It will be moving towards the concave part of the curve. Okay, now let's move on. How about if our curve is in the straight line? Okay, let's use the car again. So let's say this is point one with the velocity. Okay. And this is point two with the velocity two. Okay, so the change in velocity is very obvious here. The change in velocity, ah, this is our graph, and the change in velocity follows the direction um of our velocities because there is only one direction here. Okay, so velocity 1 and velocity 2 have the same direction. That means the change in velocity will also have the same direction as those two, meaning that our instantaneous acceleration will also follow the, the direction of our velocities. Okay. Now, let us determine the components of our instantaneous acceleration vector. Okay. Recall that we have the components of instantaneous velocity here. Okay. As we did a while ago with the instantaneous acceleration vector formula, we're just going to change the velocity to acceleration and the position to your velocities. Okay. And okay, so this is the other version of our instantaneous velocity using its components. We just substitute the scalar components of our instantaneous acceleration to the form x hat plus to the form vx hat, vy hat, and to the form ax hat, ay hat, and xy hat. I'm so sorry. I apologize. Okay, so and also we have a final form of this, which is this one. If we're going to use the position, okay, the position equations were derived two times. Okay, so recall that from the first example, we derived the position equation x and y to get Vx, okay, to get Vx. Excuse me. Now we are dealing with acceleration. That means that we're going to derive that again. So we have this, the instantaneous acceleration is equal to d squared x. That means twice, we derived it twice, over dt squared I hat plus d squared y over dt squared j hat and d squared j over dt squared k hat. Okay, so those are our equations, or those are our formulas for acceleration vectors. I think that's all for this lesson. Okay, so
That's all, folks.